Welcome back. We finished our tile floor. Now we're going to be talking about what to do around the perimeter of the floor, especially at transitions to other flooring, and right here at the front door, how you seal between the front door and the tile floor. Underneath this floor we have uncoupling membrane, and that makes the tile floor separate from the structure of the house. So for that reason, you need a gap around the entire perimeter of the floor. If, for example, you have any grout or thin set stuck in here, you're going to have to clean that out. Just like what I've done here, we had thin set smushed up against the wall. I used an awl. You could also use a flathead screwdriver. Just poke at that, get that thin set out. So now I have a gap here. If you have any movement in the wall, it's not going to impact the floor. Your thin set grout is going to be a hard material. You can't just fill this up with grout along the edge like you did between the tiles. If you have any movement in the wall at the door, it's going to crack that grout. And that's the same case here, the transition to hardwood floor. If you fill it up with grout, it's going to end up cracking and coming out. If you go to the home improvement store in the tiling section, you'll find they have some really thin profile moldings. This one you could put a T molding here. Since I have the tile floor at the same height as the hardwood floor, it'd sit flat, not take up too much space. You could also fill this with caulking. You find a caulking that's similar color to the hardwood floor or your grout. Just whatever you do, don't get a white caulking, it will get dirty. Of course, here at the wall, you really don't have to do anything because that's just going to get covered up with your baseboard. And here, get your door molding. Baseboard covers all the gaps. And what I'm going to work on today is filling in this gap here between the tile floor and the door. I'm going to be using a silicone caulking. Most doors, exterior doors, can have this black molding here. So get a black caulking, it will match really well. Then right here, besides the door, I also have the silver color stainless steel sill pan right here. Sometimes those are aluminum. And so another consideration, that metal, it goes straight outside. So if you're in a cold climate and it's ice cold outside, that cold transfers to this metal. That'll feel really cold. And if you were to just cover this up with a molding, that's not going to work because that cold metal combined with warm, humid air in the house, that's going to get all kinds of condensation on it. You'll get water pooling in here. So for that reason, you want to fill this up with a caulking. It's going to help insulate. It's going to separate that warm, humid air from the metal. And with that, you want a really good caulking that's rated for a cold temperature. Then over here, your door trim, you don't want to stop the caulking right where your door trim is going to start because the sill pan, it continues around the side of the door here. You want to fill this all in with caulking, anything that's exposed, and then your door trim will cover that up as well. And what I'm using, specifically looked for a black caulking. This is the OSI Quad Max high quality silicone caulking, rated for both wet and cold applications. If you go to the home improvement store, they have hundreds of caulkings on the shelf. So if you're not sure what to get, the higher quality ones, very simply, are going to be the higher priced ones. So look for the higher priced caulkings. Look for exterior, interior rated. This shows all the different materials this is going to adhere to. And temperature rating, 140 degrees Fahrenheit down to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. First thing to do, I've got some blue tape. I do not want any caulking getting on the tile. Easiest way to protect that is cover that up with the blue tape right to the very edge of the tile. You get that pressed down really well, especially because the caulking can still get pushed underneath the tape. And on my tile, especially, the edges are not straight flat edges. This is actually an interesting one. You have to unscrew the nozzle, then you're going to cut above the threads, screw the nozzle back on. So that's sill pan, that's below the height of the tile. So I'm just gonna try to go flush with the height of the tile. So now that gap is filled all the way down, especially on the edges, went straight down to the floor. Ideally, got this at a good angle, got the caulking straight down to the floor to completely fill the gap. And then you can see, I've used probably about 2/3 of the tube. So there's a little bit left in case I need more. And this is for a full-size door and the 12-inch side lights, so this is 5 feet total. Next, you could use caulking tool, or what I prefer to use, this is just one of those plastic kitchen pot scrapers. I'm going to use the edge here, it has virtually no radius. I did get high enough, about halfway, so I have to go back, fill up some of these gaps. And last step here, you can just remove the tape right away if you want. Get that nice, clean, straight edge. So there it is finished. Came out really clean and straight. This is 17-minute skin time and 24 to 72 hours cure time. It says it is paintable with a latex paint if for some reason you're going to want to paint that. And if you do get some on the tile, it says cleanup is with mineral spirits. However, if you have a ceramic or porcelain tile, that nice hard slick surface, that'll clean right off. Versus this spot here, I got some on the wood trim. That's going to get covered up by the door trim, so I'm not too worried about it. But that'll be a little bit harder to clean up. You can see I got some on my hands. Doesn't clean off with soap and water. Here's the final result after it's cured. This is about 4 days later. Solid, very rubbery, flexible. That's good high quality seal.